Yes, we love our country, and today we're going to tell the history of this great land of ours through singing, dancing, and acting. Thank you for coming. We hope you enjoy our program. On October 12, 1492, as Columbus came in sight of the New World, he wrote in his journal, "The Pinta leads the procession and her crew is singing praises of God." That's the way American history began, with a song, and that's the way it has been ever since.
Yes, Columbus, but we might fall off the edge of the stage. Columbus sailed across the Atlantic in 1492. His heart filled with fearful emotions as he met each wave in the ocean. But he held his course with devotion, and he proved to the world it was true. His ships were the Santa Maria, the Nina and Pinta as well. Each one held a crew of young seamen. In fact, you could say they were he-men, and they found a new world for freemen. It's a story exciting to tell. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. But Columbus wasn't the only discoverer. The French, English, Dutch, Spanish, and Portuguese are also exploring new lands and places. These early explorers found that this new land was already inhabited. The Native American Indians have been enjoying the beauty of the land and their own unique lifestyle for hundreds of years. Plant dead fish with corn seed. Corn grow big.
In the fall of 1621, the Pilgrims invited their Indian friends to a 3-day feast, our first Thanksgiving.
Hail, Pilgrim, canst thou see yonder large spout? Shoot it now with thy musket. Bang!
This fowl will make a fine addition to our feast with our Indian friends.
the Puritans, and the southern plantations.
In a little over 100 years, the English had settled 13 colonies along the northeast coast of the United States.
Although separated from Europe by the Atlantic Ocean, the American colonists kept many of the European traditions, including the minuet and a French dance that was very popular in the 1700s.
Here are our first 4 American presidents and their wives to dance minuet. Let me introduce them. Here is George Washington and his wife Martha.
I cannot tell a lie. I did chop down the cherry tree. Oh.
Anyone for cherry pie? Here is John Adams and his wife Abigail.
I helped write the Declaration of the Independence and the Constitution.
My husband and I were the first people to live in the White House. Here are Thomas Jefferson and his wife Martha.
While I was president, the United States doubled in size with the purchase of the Louisiana Territory.
Mr. Jefferson sent Meriwether Lewis and William Clark to explore the Louisiana Territory. A young Indian girl named Sacagawea led Lewis and Clark from North Dakota to the Pacific Ocean. Here comes Sacagawea with Lewis and Clark right now.
Are we there yet?
Only 5 more rivers to cross and 3 more mountain ranges to climb. We should be there by noon.
Oh, my feet are killing me.
Stop. You're complaining. Try walking with moccasins and a baby on your back.
And finally, here is James Madison and his wife, Dolly.
I was president during the War of 1812 when the British captured Washington, D.C. and set the White House on fire.
I love to wear fashionable clothes and entertain guests at the White House.
And now the minuet.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania grew too. Philadelphia soon became the largest city in the colonies. It was here in Philadelphia that Benjamin Franklin ran a printing shop and printed Poor Richard's Almanac.
A penny saved is a penny earned. Oh, here's a good one. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But here's my favorite one of all.
Tension has been building between Great Britain and American colonies for more than 10 years before the Revolutionary War began.
The war began on April 19, 1775, when the British soldiers and American patriots fought at Lexington, Massachusetts. Paul Revere made his famous midnight ride the night before to warn the colonists that the British Army was on its way.
The British are coming! The British are coming!
They saw two lanterns in the North Church tower. Ride, ride, they knew this was to be the fateful hour. Ride, ride for a man to ride into the night. Every village and every farm to awaken them and call to arm. It was the ride of Paul Revere. Ride, ride till the night be cold. Ride, ride till the truth be told. Ride, ride like a man of old. Ride like Paul Revere.
In 1776, the 13 colonies declared the independence from the Great Britain.
The Revolutionary War was fought under the direction of General George Washington, who later became our first president.
I am Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death.
Those American rebels will never be free of British rule. Wah ha 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 ha.
After a long struggle, the colonists did win their freedom, and a new society was built under the inspired leadership of men such as Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, John Adams, and other great patriots. The government was formed.
After much debate and compromise, our Constitution was written and a nation was born.
George Washington asked Betsy Ross to sew our country's first flag.
Betsy Ross, I've heard how handy you are with a needle and thread. Could you sew me a flag to look like this?
Yes, General Washington, I can.
Ow! Mrs. Ross, watch where you're placing that needle.
Constitution, the United States established a new government and paid the war debt.
Our nation's borders were enlarged with the purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1803, but the United States was having trouble keeping peace along its new boundaries.
The War of 1812 against Great Britain began. In September, the British attacked the Americans in Fort McHenry, near Baltimore. During the all-night attack, Francis Scott Key, an American prisoner on a British warship, caused a bombardment of Fort McHenry. Francis Scott Key wondered if the American flag would still be flying over the fort in the morning.
Then, by the dawn's early light, he saw the torn and tattered flag is still there.
Francis Scott Key wrote a poem about this event. The words of his poem were later set to music and became our national anthem.
Please stand and sing with us the star-spangled banner as Old Glory proudly waves.
After the War of 1812, the nation grew, acquiring almost what is now the continental United States. Mountains and rivers, and lawns were climbed, rivers and prairies were crossed.
In 1847, the Mormon pioneers settled through the Great Salt Lake after traveling in wagons or pulling hand cars for hundreds of miles.
Ma, girl, stop right here. Come on, we'll sing while we rest.
Yeah, Pa, we're awful tired.
Looks like there's some hostile Indians here on these parts. Looks like we must be moving on. Well, get stuck in a lot. Push harder, Mom.
I'm pushing as hard as I can, Pa. What we need is Big Brother Parson.
Yeah, Big Brother Parson.
Where's he anyway? I haven't seen him all day. Did somebody say money? Well, no wonder we couldn't push it.
Big Brother Parson, can you help us pull this here wagon out of this here up?
Well, sure I could.
Frontier life was hard for settlers on the American West, but they had time for fun too.
Dances were a very social event. Come on, everybody, let's do the Virginia Reel.
Gold was discovered 1 year later and the California gold rush was on.
Gold, gold, there's gold in them darn hills.
I'm headed to California.
Yep, they're dead right. I love gold. Mwah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please bow your heads in respect as we observe a moment of silence for our dearly departed. Okay, that's enough. Now on with the show. We'll need a short intermission to change costumes and bury the dead.
A major key to the growth of our nation was transportation. Steamships and the first railroads arrived on the scene in the early 1800s.
Workers were paid only 50 cents a day. It took 8 years to dig this long canal, but it was finally finished in 1825. When the canal was finally finished, it was filled with flat-bottom boats called barges. Hey everybody, here comes a barge on the Erie Canal right now.
These barges carried people and cargo. Mules that were led along the path pulled these barges. Men who drove these mules were called canalers. They sang to relieve the monotony and strain of their work.
She's a good old worker and a good old pal.
barges often got their heads first if they didn't die from passing under the bridge.
Help! I'm drowning! I'm drowning!
Good thing I didn't drown. Someone's got to help bury those miners.
The Transcontinental Railroad was driven at Promontory Point, Utah in 1869. The country was not connected east to west by rail. The man who built the railroad sang songs about the road to the river Mother Thames.
Stopped at places such as Mark Twain's fictional town of St. Petersburg, Missouri. It was here that the story of Tom Sawyer took place.
School is in session. Students all take attendance. Caitlin, Darton, Gracie, Esteban, Becky, Tom Sawyer, late again. Students, let's practice our sums. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 plus 3 is 6. Students, continue your lesson.
Fishing at the river with Huckleberry Finn, huh? Your punishment goes to by the girls. Oh, shucks! Go take a seat over by Becky Thatcher. Becky Thatcher? Yes, sir. I'm not here. Becky! Hey, Becky! Don't be mad no more. I never did those that aching arms anyhow. Beck, I got you a present. A present for me? Oh, Tom, what is it? Close your eyes and I'll show you. You can open your eyes now. Oh,
free, and problems were not as easily solved as in St. Petersburg. The issue of slavery separated the nation.
Harriet Tubman was born into slavery at the age of 28. She learned that she was to be sold and separated from her family. In 1849, she escaped from slavery.
After Harriet became free, she knew she had to help other African American slaves escape to freedom.
She made 19 journeys south and led over 300 people to safety on the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was a name of series for places where slaves could stay during their journey north to escape slavery in the South.
Culverts were used to protect slaves on their trip. The places where they stopped were called stations, and the people being guided toward freedom were called packages, and guides were called conductors.
Moses, Moses, the slave catcher's sons are on our trail.
Walk down the river so the dogs lose your scent.
Massa's gonna whip me for sure if I was caught. Where are we going now?
You're gonna hide in the wagon under the hay. I hope you bees as hard as finding a needle in a haystack.
Yes, this plan's gonna work for sure. African Americans called her Moses because, like Moses in the Bible, she led people out of slavery. Slave catchers tried to catch Harriet, but she was never caught. Emotions were running high. The southern states wanted slave labor to work their plantations, but the northern states were against it. The Civil War was upon us. In 1863, the Confederate and Union armies battled at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Mormon fought, Mormon died in any other battle.
Although the Battle of Gettysburg did not end the war, it remains a great battle of the Civil War.
Later that year, at a dedication of a cemetery where the Battle of Gettysburg took place,
Abraham Lincoln delivered the most quoted speech in history, the Gettysburg Address.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
maybe all the men were created equally, but what about the women where voting was concerned? Women were not treated as equal to men.
Since 1848, women were trying to win the right to vote.
The right to vote is called suffrage, and the women who fought for it were called suffragettes.
Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton were two early leaders of the suffrage movement.
Elizabeth, we've got to organize our efforts. Women all over the country must petition their lawmakers to allow women to vote.
Women across the country have been marching in suffrage parades.
You're absolutely right, Susan. We've been fighting for the right to vote for 50 years. How much longer must we wait?
We demand a vote! Equal rights for women! We demand a vote! Equal rights for women!
Ladies, go home where you belong. Your husbands will vote for you.
We demand a vote! Equal rights for women!
Ladies, disperse and go home or I'll have you arrested.
We demand a vote! Equal rights for women!
Officers, these women are a bunch of troublemakers. Arrest these rousers right now. I'd do it myself if I was bigger.
We demand a vote! Equal rights for women! We demand a vote!
But Mayor, isn't that your wife?
Oh, it is my wife. I'm ruined.
Put me down, you broom!
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo run, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day.
Howdy, partner. The American frontier is rapidly disappearing as miners, homesteaders, and ranchers move west.
Conservation and the Great Plains became very prevalent. Lumber and cattle were branded then run free until market time, then hundreds of miles to the nearest railroad depot on trails such as the Old Chisholm Trail.
I can hear them cats bawling. Can you see them anywhere, Jake? No? Well, keep looking. My biscuits are burning! My biscuits are burning! That's better.
Well, it looks like you're having rub roast for dinner tonight. People came to the United States for many reasons. America, they had heard, was a land of opportunity. They believed life would be better here. And on the base of the Statue of Liberty are these words.
Give me your time, your ball, your heart of masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these the homeless and tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Our ancestors were immigrants to America. My ancestors were from England.
My ancestors, the Jenkins, came from Denmark.
My ancestors, the Tinoco, came from Mexico.
My ancestors, the Nays, came from Scotland.
My ancestors, the Stuarts, came from Scotland.
My ancestors, the Owens, came from Wales.
My ancestors, the Swensons, came from Germany.
My ancestors, the Jensens, came from Denmark. My ancestors, the DeSimones, immigrated to America in 1915 from Anione, a small town in Italy.
With the rise of modern technology came prosperity. The First World War, the Great Depression, then another World War.
In fact, if you name a war, someone will remember the song. Do you remember these?
They sang a song to entertain and to boost our spirits.
Since World War II, our country has become a world power and we have seen lots of changes.
But some things will never change. We will always value our freedom and remember this great heritage we share in this wonderful country of ours. Thank you for watching.